Hey, it's Brandon with Lady and the Lineman, and today I want to talk about some cost-effective embroidery projects. With all of the different projects and hobbies and different things I do, I think I would probably go broke just in buying materials if I didn't find some form of cost-effective way to do that, especially when it comes to practice. If you're starting your laser engraving on tumblers that are like, Yetis and things like that, you're probably gonna end up upside down pretty quick. And embroidery, I found, is very similar. If you are working with hats and shirts and all these kinds of things that cost you money to replace, or even worse, are customers and you gotta replace theirs, it can get really expensive to the point where you're not really making a profit, and then you're paying to be doing work for other people, and then it just takes away from your hobby and it's not as fun. Ask me how I know. So what I have been trying to find this week, specifically for embroidery, are projects that I can do, complete, practice, sell, whatever I want to do, with a starting point of $5 for the material. Not including thread and backing, things like that may be specific to a project type or a preference. I don't want to include that because there's too many variables with that. The piece that I will be embroidering on, I'm gonna stick to a $5 budget. And I already found a couple things. Today we're gonna look at just one of those though. I wanna start with pot holders, which super random, right? But going from this basic pot holder to this one with a really cool logo on it is way better, right? And you can do that at home. But really though, something like this personalized is really cool to have, and it's pretty unique as well. I don't see a lot of people selling personalized pot holders. Maybe there's not a market for it, but you know what? This cost me $1.25 and I can mess it up, so that's totally fine. What we're gonna do to make this ready, because obviously you can't just put this on your embroidery hoop or it'll close up your thing. If you can just put this on a hoop, disregard everything I'm about to do and say, because that's probably a lot easier. It's probably way easier. But I'm going to show you how to make this. So we're going to start off with this piece here. We're going to cut down this seam, open it up, and then we'll embroider it. So let's go do that. So starting with our oven mitt right side out, and using a seam ripper. So I like this one. It actually came with the machine for free, so it's nothing special, but it is this hook type, so I feel like it gets in the seam a little better. You don't have to really cut, just scratch. So if you just scratch right at this inner seam, you can see it's already coming apart. And I don't cut this portion here. It's just a piece of fabric sewn over halfway to create the little loophole thing. But I don't want to have to recreate that. So I don't open that. We will go around this. When I'm opening it like that, I'm not actually pulling on it to break the seam. I'm just trying to see what needs to be ripped still. Almost there. Okay. Now we got this thing in half, right? So this isn't tattered. I mean, it is a little bit, obviously, because it's the inner side of a seam. You just have all these little threads we just cut. So to make it cleaner, pull all those out, and they should pull right out. Ooh, except for that one. Okay. So you should be left with something like that. So let's set that aside. I'm just using regular tearaway backing. using a 5x7 hoop. If you're using a 4x4, it'll still work, and I'm actually gonna float this in the 5x7 too. So you really won't be doing it any differently, just maybe your orientation might differ a little bit. I'm using quilt basting spray. I'm sure there's other adhesives that you might like better. This is the one I got. If you notice, these do not have a flat cuff. So you can't really use the natural shape of this to get where you want your embroidery to go. So if you have one of these helpful little mats here, you can use that. And just get your center about there. And then I would be coming down to probably here. So that's about my center mark. That's going to be the top of my embroidery area. That will be the bottom. So that is where I want my design. Now, I'm going to spray the bottom side of the piece that we're going to use. So I want my design here. I'm going to baste the bottom of this side. And I kind of go a little over. I'd rather have too much than too little on this. Worst case scenario, I have more cleanup, but I have cleanup on a piece that didn't fall off my hoop and all that. So, and also I bet I could probably hoop this because it's not super bulky, but I don't want to. I think my hoop will last a lot longer if I don't do that. So I'm not going to. And also, this is kind of hit and miss. Folding this and clamping it, it kind of adds a lot of weight, so it changes how this sits, but then it's out of the way. I'm not going to do it this time. I will probably clamp this. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. Here. Something like that. And just so I know, I'm going to measure my embroidery area. So I'll call that 3 3/4 by 6 1/2. All right, so now we'll move the machine. I'm using a Brother PE 800. Try not to knock the camera over. If you're using a sketch or something that doesn't have a screen, this is going to be a little bit different for you. So I had 3.75 by 6 1/2. So we're going to rotate this. So that should fit. So when you pull it off the machine, you should be left with something like this. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna flip this all the way inside out. And you can clip it, you can pin it, whatever you wanna do, but find a way to secure it so all this is together. Try and match up the original seam line. Also try not to stab your fingers. These needles are really sharp. Splicing tools and sewing needles. Those are on the list of sharp objects to avoid. So something like that. Now we'll move it to the sewing machine. I'm just using a black all-purpose thread. I think I have a white bobbin. I like to use a cross stitch for no particular reason other than it just seems like it'd be stronger. I'm using the stock settings at 5mm and 2mm. So we'll get that started. It's easiest to flip these first. Just kind of flip that inside out, almost like a sock, and then bring it as much as you can out. And once you get it most of the way through, you can kind of push your hand in and work it out this way. So after stitching it, you should end up pretty much where you started, except for now we got cool embroidery on it. Black is kind of a difficult example to use just because it does pick up a lot of the fuzz and stuff. So that's okay, you get the point. This, I believe, cost a total of like $3. So with tacks, thread, all those different materials that went into it, which are super minimal, this was like $3. So if you were to try and sell this, or you were marketing it for anywhere from 5 to 10, you're still making a profit. And if you were to personalize this with someone's dog, pet, something like that, there's a lot of possibilities with things like this. This is just one of the things that I found on the under $5 embroidery list. If you have any suggestions, any questions, or if you just like content like this, like, subscribe, follow, all of those good things, and we'll catch you next time.